welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. You're very welcome to our preview show, and we're looking ahead to another big weekend of championship action. With the two junior championship semi-finals coming up on Friday and Monday night, and we have the replay between Wolfe Tones and Pearse Og in the intermediate quarter-final, and of course the semi-final draw will take place after that game on Saturday in St Paul's. I'm delighted to be joined once again by Mark Beattie, and he's going to help me look at all three games. And as usual, Mark will take them as they come. Friday night is the first semi-final. Ballyhagen take on Cluanmore in the Box Athletic Grounds at 7:30. Arguably the two best teams left in the competition, Mark. The two teams, obviously Cluanmore won the league and Ballyhagen had ended up coming second. So between league and championship football, they're probably the two best teams in the competition.
Yeah. Ballyhagen came strong sort of towards the end of the league and got themselves promoted, beating Colliesland. So that would have been a big momentum boost for them. Plus going through the championship stages, they seemed to, they were winning a couple of good games, a couple of good wins, and they've got themselves here now. Cluanmore sort of moving through the league a bit handier. Winning the league, and saying that Ballyhagen did beat them in one of the games that they played each other in the league. So the thing about Ballyhagen and Cluanmore, they're again a bit like Cluanmore against Blackwater Town and Blackwater Town against Colliesland. These teams are all in around each other. The sort of crossover parishes and everything, and amalgamations and stuff like that together. So these two teams know each other really well. So that adds that. But yeah, both teams to me would have been at the start of the year, and as the seasons went on, are probably been the two favourites to win the junior championship.
And you mentioned their league games. Obviously you said about Ballyhagen beating Cluanmore in the league, one of only a few to do so in the league. So I suppose that Ballyhagen, they'll have a bit of confidence going into the game that they're Cluanmore's probably favourites, but having already beaten them, they know that they can beat them basically.
Well, yeah, they'll know each other inside out. They'll know each all the players. They'll know each other. They'll know what they all can do. So that even though Cluanmore will be favourites, Ballyhagen will still feel that they'll be able to do a job on some of their main men, and just win their own individual battles. So that's a big boost for Ballyhagen. Plus, after coming off the back of the Summon game, a real tight game going to extra time. That's bound to help Ballyhagen as well going into this game. So it's definitely looking like a real tight, good championship match.
And you mentioned that the quarterfinals as well, Mark. Obviously, Cluanmore won. I think it was 16 points in the end, maybe against Portmore, 3-14 to 1-4. I think was the final score. And then Ballyhagen had to battle through the Summon, extra time and everything. So I suppose we have two teams coming in very different circumstances. Ballyhagen had to maximise themselves. There was no letting the foot off. They had to get through extra time and just about get through that game. While Cluanmore, truth be told, the game was over at half time. So probably come Friday night, whoever wins will say, oh, well, Ballyhagen were battle hardened, or will say, well, Cluanmore, they had an easier way through. But how does that prepare both teams, do you think? Like, who is better off coming into the semi-final?
Yeah, that as we seen last weekend, that's sort of hard to judge. You know what I mean? That's a hard one to judge. You could say Ballyhagen after that game, that they're really going to be coming in here flying, while Cluanmore just don't know where they're at. But at the same time, Cluanmore beat Blackwater Town, who had a massive win against Colliesland. So Blackwater Town's no mugs. So it was still a real good win and a real good team performance by Cluanmore. But in saying that, you like to have that real hard, tough championship game behind you, and that gets the momentum going and gets a lot of confidence. And Ballyhagen will feel that they've had that. They've had that real tough game that's preparing them better for the Cluanmore match. But at the same time, Cluanmore is not the favourites for nothing. So they're coming in this year, winning the league, going through the championship so far really well, and giving a real convincing performance. So against Blackwater Town, so it's a hard one to judge who is at the best end of it here. But as we've seen last weekend, the teams that hadn't maybe had the real tough challenges, they struggled at the start of the games. So sometimes if Ballyhagen get at Cluanmore right from the start, and Cluanmore maybe not having them real tight games so far, all of a sudden Ballyhagen could get a bit of a lead up. But if Cluanmore can keep the game tight, and then they can kick in after that there, and then show the performances and how well they've been playing so far this year, that'll maybe see them over the line.
And I know that the last time we were talking about the junior championship, Mark, we spoke about James McCormack for Ballyhagen and the top scorer in the junior championship. He stepped up the last day too, didn't he? He got a wonderful goal. I think he got 1-3 maybe throughout the game. And then Peter McGrain as well, I think, scored a fabulous point towards the end of the game. I think was that the point that looked like the insurance point, and someone come
Yeah,
up the field and
got
get the
another
goal.
score.
So they're the two men that Ballyhagen's really looking to,
They're
aren't they?
driving Ballyhagen, and I'll tell you, I don't think we'll see a better goal in the championship this year than McCormick's goal. It was just pure class. It was absolutely brilliant. Um, and watched it over and over again. Actually, the way he picked the ball up and went through, I was just a brilliant bit of individual play. And Madrid, of course, he's the driving force behind the team. So yeah, these guys need to perform. They need to be performing at their best, and for Ballyhagen to get over the line here. But I'm sure Cluanmore will have a couple of players eyed up to sort them two out. But that'll be easier said than done.
I think Rory Cunningham picked up Cormac Kieran against Portmore, so he's maybe the man for McCormack, and I'm not sure there'll be a man out the field more picking up McGrain, because I know he wears 15, but he does drift back. Maybe not
Yeah.
really in a sweeper role, but sort of in a in-round midfield. He's a
Just
free
as a
role.
third midfielder sort of thing, he seems to be picking up there. Yeah, yeah. Now that's a harder role to sort of stop somebody, because you're always going to be involved, you're always going to be on the ball, and getting on the end of things. So it's not as easily, to pick up. While maybe McCormick Clum will think about doubling up or doing whatever to try and stop him. But as I say, that'll be easier said than done with the performance he put in the quarterfinal.
So who do you think's going to come through here, Mark? Who's going to be the first team into the final?
I know what was said about, it was an easy sort of victory for them against Blackwater Town, but it was a real convincing performance. It was a real team effort, and I think Cluanmore is my tip against Ballyhagen.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Cluanmore as well. I think they've been really convincing all year on that performance against Portmore. I think the forward line, like the Sean Quigley, Cahill Cunningham really played well that night. They've an attacking half back line that I think their wing half back, Cahill McCann, I think it was, scored 2 points, sorry, and Jody Nixon got a goal as well from centre half back. So I'm going to go for Cluanmore, but definitely a good way to start the weekend, and it's going to be
Yeah,
a big game. On Saturday, then, with the replay, Wolfe Tones and Pearse Og in St Paul's at 2 o'clock. These two played out really in the weather and everything. We spoke about that on Monday's show, Mark. The weather didn't open itself to good
yeah.
football, but these two put in a hell of a battle on last Sunday, and probably in the end, a draw was a fair result, and hopefully they can reproduce the goods now come Saturday.
Yeah, you would hope so. You'd hope that it'll be as entertaining a match as it was last weekend. But it was as most games were. It was a game of two halves. You know what I mean? The conditions. Pearse Og sort of got a good lead. You sort of thought they were maybe going to kick on and win the game fairly handily, but the Tones, fair play to them. They came out in the second half, really got tore into the Oaks, and they came away with got the draw in the end. Um, and that shows the fight that the both Tones have showed now in the last few matches, coming out of after getting relegated and coming into the championship. Probably nobody really expecting a whole pile from them, but they've got themselves right at the right time, coming into the championship and getting leading top in the group, and then heading in now and putting in a powerful performance against Pearse Oaks. And they'll need to come out now and back that up again, which I think they'll have the belief that they will be able to do it because of how well they have played, and the performance that they give it, and they know how much they can hurt them. But in saying that, the Oaks will probably be kicking themselves that they didn't. Once they got a good lead up, they should have been able to take more possession of the ball and slow the game down a bit more. But but I have to say fair play to the Tones for really kicking on, you know.
I think there's 5 points in at half time. I think it was 1-5 to 3 in favour of the Oaks. On the Tones, it looked Edinburgh because a day like that, Mark, 5 points
Yeah.
was a big lead at half time. But the change I thought was the Tones just seemed to throw the shackles off. They went at the Oaks. It just their transformation at half time was incredible. And the likes of Jonathan McCarn, Ryan McQuillan, Paddy Judge, I suppose all their big men, all their leaders
Yeah.
all stood up. And that was a big thing for the Tones.
Yeah.
And they'll be looking to do that from the start this week.
They will, surely, yeah. But again, if it's kind of thing like today, you know, these conditions at this time of the year, it's winter football. You're sort of hitting into here, and you know, you just don't know what you're going to get from one week to the next. And as I was saying at the weekend, in a lot of games, a lot of teams were, you know, when they played with the win, naturally they were trying to go full out at it. And if the teams in the first half who were against the win, you know, they were trying to contain things, slow things down, keep the scoring to a minimum, and then try and kick on. And that's what the Tones went out and done in the second half. Um, but yeah, the big players, you know, Tubby McCarn and McQuillan, Judge, these guys are, you know, they've been leading the Tones now for years. McQuillan, fair play to him, like he's still got it, like he's still there, he's still producing the goods for the Tones, and Jonathan McCarn as well. Like there would be one person you wouldn't begrudge getting a championship would be Tuvey and McQuillan. You know, the two of them have just soldiered there for the Tones for years, and you know, there's no reason why they can't go and finish the job at the weekend. You know.
On the Oaks, they'll obviously be with like Conor McNichol, who dislocated his knee right at the throw-in the other day. And I suppose that's one of the things I always talk about, more controlling the controllables. You can't
Yeah,
control
yeah,
you can't control something like that. Like we were on the sideline talking, I was talking to a few people, and all the teams had went through their warm-ups, their last minute speeches, the team talks and everything, and then suddenly there's a 10-minute break and you have
yeah,
to go and do it all again. Like
yeah.
it's a disruption to the start of the game, and obviously send Connor our best wishes. I hope he's okay. I was talking to him during the game and he was okay. He was in no pain, so hopefully he's okay. But stuff like that, Mark, that you can't plan for, it comes and throws a big
Just
problem in your face.
it just throws a spanner in the works, you know what I mean? And then everyone's all geared and everyone's psyched up, and all of a sudden, you know, that something like that happens. 10 minutes of a break. You don't know when the game's going to start. What do you do? Do you do another warm up? Do you keep warm? You know, it's just one of those things that there's nothing you can do about it, and it's the team that sort of comes out of that best afterwards, which was Pearse Og's. You know, but it is one of those things. You hope that it doesn't happen. You hope things like that never happen. That once that ball's straight up, you just go hammers and tongs for 30 minutes. But unfortunately, at the weekend, that was a massive disruption for both teams. But at the weekend, it was more of a disruption. It seemed to be for Wolfe Tones than it was for Pearse Oaks. But fair play again, as we've already said. You know, Wolfe Tones they came out fighting in the second half, 5 points down, and dug in and got back and got the draw. You know.
I suppose get into this one. It's a bit like the Ballyhagen and Cluanmore that we were just talking about, Mark. The Tones were luck beat at half time. They come back. Possibly, I thought they should have won the game. Paul Duffy special equalised at normal time and extra time. So the Tones are coming off it feeling that they threw it away, while the Oaks is probably happy that they got a second chance at it. That sort of preparation, does that impact it, or does that be gone come Sunday evening and you're just preparing for another game again?
It does and it doesn't. You know, it's a bit of it where the Oaks, you know, as much as Duffy got the point to get that equaliser, you know, the likes of the Oaks, you know, they should have been thinking, well, we have a better team for a long period of the game, you know, so they have to look at it that road, but they just didn't kick on. But at the end, you know, it's sort of it's a hard one to judge really until you're still in the championship. So you've just got to get back to training. You've just got to get knuckled down this week, get prepared the best you can. You more or less know what your matchups and all is going to be. So really, you know, yeah, it's a sickener on the night, you know, but really, you know, you just got to get back on that Tuesday night and get ready again for the next game. And that both teams will be doing that. Both teams will totally be believing that they're going to win. They're going to get the win again at the weekend. So I don't think it'll be a major part in it, like, because because they're still there. Both teams are still there, and they've still got a powerful chance of going to a semi-final.
And who do you see going through, Mark, into the semi-final?
Well, I sort of built the Tones up there, but I still would believe that the Oaks will still have enough to get through. It'd be another really tight game, but I would still be tipping the Oaks to make it to the semi-final.
Yeah, I think hopefully it's as good and as exciting as the last day. And I know on the preview show last week, I think Barry Flynn went for the Oaks and I went for the Tones and ended up a draw. So we'll do that again this week. Mark, if you're going for the Oaks, I'll go for the Tones and keep them lads happy. So that's Saturday, and obviously the draw will be done on for the intermediate semi-finals after that game as well. So that takes us to Monday then, Mark. It's the second semi-final of the Junior Championship. One team will already be through, so it's all about who's going to meet them. It's Clonmore against Crinchco here on Monday night at 7:30 in the Athletic Grounds. This is a really exciting chance for both teams. Mark, Clonmore obviously only set up this year after I think was it 10 years ago or something. You tried this one out here, and Crinchco it's maybe it's 5, 6, 7 years from they were in the junior finals. So both teams coming from 3B, it's a really big opportunity for them.
It is indeed, yeah. For ourselves, it's just we're in bonus territory. Anything off this, it's a bonus. We got promoted first year back in it in 3B, getting promoted into 3A, getting the semi-final of the championship, topping the group that we're in. So and then obviously beating Kalevi second last weekend as well. It's just bonus territory for Clonmore, and as much as they'll be going into this game totally believing and expecting to go to the junior final, as a club as a whole, it's just been a brilliant year so far for the second team. And you've had a lot of players, got a lot of football, a lot of competitive football. It's bringing on so many young fellas, and bolstered by a few experienced players as well. So it's just been a real plus all around. So at this stage, not see all the players and all the guys involved, management, the whole lot, they're going to be going into this expecting and believing to win. But for me, on a personal, it's been a real bonus for, and we're in bonus territory, whatever happens from here. But we have beat Crinchco twice this year, so that'll be another reason why there'll be a lot of belief in winning the game. And I'm sure a lot of people would have maybe been hoping that Ballyhagen and Cluanmore would have avoided each other, and that would have been everyone maybe expecting that as a final. But this now gives these two teams a real opportunity of getting a championship final. And as I say, we won twice against them in the league, but spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, that the second game was a real nip and tuck game. It could have went any road. It was hard. It was physical, and Clonmore will definitely be expecting that again on Monday night, a real physical game. And to be fair to Crinchco as well, they've come through a couple of real good games. Big win against Newtown in the last round. And a lot of people probably wouldn't have expected them to come through that game, but they did, and coming from behind as well to win the game. So they'll it's a draw that favoured both of them as well. It gives now both teams a real incentive that they can go to the final, because Thomas Davis are going to totally believe that they're going to beat Clonmore. They'll have a real belief that this is a real good opportunity. But at the same time, Clonmore with the 2 wins, the promotion, they'll also be believing that they're going to a junior final. So it's an interesting game. It should be a real tight, competitive game.
And in terms of momentum, Mark, both teams coming into this game unbeaten in the championship. Clonmore topped their group with wins over Oak and Portmore, and then beat Cleavey. And I know Thomas Davis, they obviously beat Ballyhagen in the first round, which was a massive win for them. Ended up topping their group, and then got past Newtown, having come from behind, like you said. So momentum is huge for both teams here. Both teams, the feel good factors in the camp, they'll be bouncing into training all week. So it's gonna be an interesting one. Both teams coming in with huge, maybe not expectation, but huge excitement that this is such a big opportunity.
Yeah, well, I'm sure at the start of the year, both teams You know, it would have been both teams would have been trying to get out of 3B. That would have maybe been you know, one of the goals for both teams. You know, in hope that they could get out of 3B. And just and see how it goes in the championship. See, but now the two of them got themselves in a position of, well, here we are. We have a chance of going to the junior final. So, you know, the confidence and the buzz around the training and everything, it's just fantastic for both teams. I know for Clonard, you know, a lot of them's training with seniors, but they're training on their own as well. And there's no question that the buzz is there, you know, from management, players, the whole lot, that they know that this is a real strong possibility in their first year of promotion on a junior final. And I expect that to be exactly the same with Thomas Davis, you know, that they see this as a real opportunity. So they'll be going to train, you know, skipping their step. You know, everyone will be there. They'll be gung ho trying to get their place for the game, and hopefully for another game in a final, which maybe at the start of the year, I'm sure both teams didn't expect for that to be happening. You know, but the opportunities are, and they have to go and grasp it, and you know, it should, as I said, it should end up a real cracker of a game. You know.
I think that there's huge scoring potential in both teams as well, Mark, because I know for Crenchigo, Adam Lahern was our player of the week a couple of weeks ago. He got 4 points against Newtown. Ryan Courtney's back from Canada. Jordan King, obviously a good scoring threat. And then in the Clonard team, the half forward line was so impressive the last day. I think James French got 6 points. Ethan McKenna got 2 or 3, but he's chipped in with some massive scores when they really needed them. And Ruben McVeigh, I don't think he scored against Clevie, but he was man of the match. He was in brilliant form. So both teams have good forward lines.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. Lochran will be one to watch. Clonard will definitely be. I'm sure they'll know of him. They'll have seen him, and he's definitely one that we'll have to keep a serious eye on. You know, and well, there is the solid defenders that Clonard have as well. You know, that hopefully will be able to do that job. But yeah, the forward line of Clonard, French, when he gets the opportunities, he doesn't miss a whole pile. And Ethan is always there for long range frees. He can strike a ball, and you know, Rogie is a guy that you want on the ball. He'll always make the right decision with the ball. Every time he gets it, you know that something's going to nearly come of it. In saying that, he takes an awful lot of abuse. He's a slight frame, and but he can take it. You know, there's no question about it. He's no problem. He doesn't shy away from anything. So it's great to see him, because he would have been on the fringes of the senior team at the start of the year, but it's been great now that he's come back into this, and he's got a lot of games, and he's really impressed. It was great. You know, he put a real man of the match performance in the last day. But all over the field, you know, Clonard is fairly strong. Tom Turbot in defence as well. You know, I spoke about Mafia and Michael McKelly too, be strong. Oscar McKegney. So, you know, Clonard is fairly strong all over the field, you know, and there's definitely a real confidence about them, you know.
I think I know what you're going to say, but I'll ask you for your prediction anyway, Mark. Who's going to make it through?
I think Thomas Davis is no, I'll have to be going for Clonard.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Clonard too, although I tipped Newtown to beat Thomas Davis and they threw that back in my face. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's two really exciting semi-finals, and both could swing either way, but we've agreed on both of them. It's the intermediate one that we're separated. But you will see how everything pans out over the
Yeah.
weekend. All three games live on Armagh TV for anybody that can't make them, and the two hurling semi-finals on Sunday and the Athletic Grounds live on Armagh TV as well for anybody that wants to go and watch them. Mark, thanks very much for coming on, and thank you to Capture Athletic for sponsoring the podcast for the duration of the championship. We'll be back on Monday night or Tuesday because of the Monday game with a review show. So, Mark, great to hear from you. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thank you, Sean.